Day 3 in the UEFA Champions League ended earlier on this Wednesday. 8 matches were played. These are the results. Salzburg beating Dinamo Zagreb 1-0 in the early game. Chelsea 3-0 over AC Milan. Real Madrid beating Shakhtar Donetsk 2-1. RB Leipzig 3-1 over Celtic. Man City stuffing Copenhagen 5-0. Dortmund, big win on the road, beating Sevilla 4-1. Juventus winning at home 3-1 over Maccabi Haifa. And all square in Portugal, Benfica and PSG sharing 2 goals. Let's turn our focus to Group E and start at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea took on AC Milan.
It's exactly coordinated, and off we go with Chelsea all in blue from right to left. The signing from Lille, injured at the moment. Now Chelsea for the first time in the game really advanced. Aubameyang mounted, a good save by Tatarusanu. Again, Ben Chilwell this time. Free header again. It's Thiago Silva again, and it came off a Milan touch again. It's another Chelsea corner. Good pressure from the home side. Chilwell's corner kick. Thiago Silva for the 3rd time with a header. Kalulu can't clear, and Fofana strikes Chelsea in front.
Kept his composure, didn't he? Wesley Fofana could easily have just tried to toe poke that, or really slash at the ball or smash it. Unnecessary, really. It's a comfortable, it's a decent save from the goalkeeper. Disappointed he doesn't push it wide.
That's a good ball, and here is Rafael Leao. Giroud and Krunic in the middle. De Ketelaere arriving too. Rafael Leao trying to weevil through. De Ketelaere, great save. Oh, what a miss. Krunic from no kind of range just put it over the bar. Have gone by without either side really managing to trouble the other in the second half. They might now though. Chilwell, poor ball really. Now James, and in, Aubameyang.
Well, he just had to keep his concentration to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I mean, it's a poor cross from Ben Chilwell, isn't it? They're trying to clip it towards his striker at the far post, doesn't get there. That's poor play from Tomori. Well, at a great height to actually side-foot it.
But they look like scoring all the time now, Chelsea. Sterling can play in James. James, 3-0.
Yeah, I've said it's difficult, isn't it, when the top teams in the Premier League really at full throttle for some of the best sides in Europe to actually live with them. I mean, it's just a bit of power play from Chelsea, and that's a superb finish from Reece James.
Yep, this is what the Group E table looks like. Salzburg in control, 5 points. Chelsea back in the running. They're second, 4 points, same as Milan. And the Dinamo Zagreb bring up the rear. They are on 3 points. We're now joined by Barbados International and our newest member, well, the newest member of our analysts pool, Nick Blackman. Nick, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right. So Graham Potter was looking for a little bit of expansiveness from his team after a hard-fought win against Crystal Palace at the weekend and a draw in his first game in charge. He was saying, look, I'm not a manager who coaches teams to prepare to play sexy football. But in the second half, it looked as if Chelsea had a little bit of verve that we haven't seen about them for the longest while. And in the end, they were full value for that 3-0 win.
Yeah, most definitely. Since obviously Graham Potter's come in, they were a little bit stale. Obviously, that's why they made the change with Thomas Tuchel. But obviously, since he's come in, he's obviously implemented his ideas on the training ground. And probably just 2 or 3 weeks into the job now, the team are really starting to take shape and look really dangerous.
Yeah, you had a good look at Wesley Fofana today for the time he was on the pitch. And of course, he opened the scoring for them and then left in the first half with what looks to be a knee injury. He's not been there long. Of course, he was bought by Tuchel and Tuchel left. He's not been there long. But do you see this boy having a big future in Chelsea's team based on what you saw from him today?
Yeah, most definitely. If you only look at his Leicester performances as well, at such a young age, he was so dominating and obviously became a central figure in their defence. And obviously now stepping into the Chelsea team is another step up again. But if you just see the composure and the confidence, even in his finish, it's like a seasoned striker. So fantastic, and I think he's going to be a fantastic signing for seasons to come.
Yeah, and speaking about Chelsea, for some time we've discussed how disconnected the team had looked under Thomas Tuchel. Did you get the sense that, there seems to be a sense of revival, a bit more chemistry from the players?
Yeah, most definitely. You can see that just even in the celebrations of Fofana's goal. All the players are running together and celebrating together. So I think you can see the kind of work that the gaffer there is putting in behind the scenes, and it's slowly coming together, and I think Chelsea fans could be very excited for the future.
Reece James getting a lot of traction on social media, not to say that that's the be and all of everything, but you know how social media lights up when your player does well. What did you make of his performance today?
Yeah, I thought it was a very timely performance. He's been fantastic for Chelsea. Not so great in the England shirt. There's been a lot of question marks over him. And also it's quite fitting that he's actually scored this evening, as well as Trent Alexander-Arnold scoring last night. So it's a battle between those two players. It's going to go right down to the very wire who's going to get the starting berth for England come the World Cup.
Against the sharpest teams, though, Nick, when you look at the backline of Koulibaly, Thiago Silva at the heart of the defence, do Chelsea have the strength in the rear guard to make you confident that those two can lead the resistance against the best attackers in the world playing for the best teams?
Yeah, most definitely. I think when you mentioned those two names in Koulibaly and Thiago Silva, I think one thing that first jumps out to you is experience. And they've been around the block numerous times. Obviously, Thiago Silva is really getting on a little bit now, but if he can manage his body as he has done, he's a very smart player. And I think experience-wise, there's not too much they've not seen in the game, so you would really be backing them to do well.
Theory on that. All right, let's switch to Group F and get highlights from the top of the table clash between the champions Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk.
Group stage and all but guarantee safe passage through to the last 16. Relentless pressure, albeit without a cutting edge until that moment. Real Madrid's early lead. They've been on top from the very first whistle. Rodrigo able to take the ball on the half turn. Another good strong run forward from Valverde, hooking it back for Benzema, getting the return ball as well. Here's Karim Benzema again, works the angle, and Trubin can make the save. And into the feet of his compatriot Karim Benzema. Real Madrid captain linking up with Valverde, getting the return ball. It's through for Vinicius, and it's two. It's a quite magnificent finish. And cruising. Benzema, Valverde, Rodrigo and Vinicius all combining. And the timing of the run pretty good as well. Good. And they then leave themselves prone to this counter-attack. Valverde, Benzema letting it run. And it could easily have been three. Vinicius can't believe he's not hit the target. Mudryk. Mikhailchenko, Zukov, oh brilliant! They're back in the game. Mudryk taking the ball on the half turn. Mikhailchenko whipping it in. That is a fine volley. Alexander Zubkov only scored his first Shakhtar goal at the weekend. Now he's got one at the Bernabeu. Close for Valverde. Benzema. Oh, good strike. Valverde taking it on first time and.
No Thibaut Courtois for Real Madrid today. He has an injury. So PSG and Benfica are joined top of Group H with 7 points after their draw early today. Juventus getting their first 3 points, beating Maccabi Haifa 3-0. Real Madrid, of course, in charge of their group. They are perfect and trying to win all their group stage games for the first time in many a moon. There we go. So Shakhtar on 4 points in second. Leipzig with their 3 points, and Celtic at the bottom already. Real Madrid have separated themselves from all the teams really, because a 5-point gap is a huge one to make up, and you would bet everything you own and borrow some things to bet that Real Madrid will get out of this group, and it looks as if they're going to get out as winners with the first meetings between all the teams already done and dusted. Nick, well, let me ask you this way. At this stage of last season, nobody thought Real Madrid would go on to have a championship winning season, but they did. But I still can ask you if they're looking much better at this stage of the campaign than they did at this stage last year.
Yeah, agreed. Nobody would have said that come this stage last year, but I think if you can see the responsibility that Carlo Ancelotti has given the young players in terms of Vinicius and Rodrigo, either side of the experienced Benzema, these players have really, really stepped up to the plate and are looking fantastic. And they're really carrying the goal-scoring burden when Benzema is not quite at it, as he wasn't today. And you can see that they look really dangerous, and their second goal was absolutely sublime.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Tchouaméni in the middle of the park for the Real Madrid team. Boy came over from Monaco in the summer. We've spoken about how he has looked at home at Real Madrid, not yet 10 games, not yet a dozen games into his Real Madrid career. How did he patrol the middle of the park today?
Yeah, he put a really eye-catching performance in there, and just 22 years of age, without Modric by his side, and also there would have been a reason why Real Madrid was so comfortable letting Casemiro go to United, because obviously they would have seen that they had this young boy coming through the ranks. So he's put in another special display this evening, and great signs for the future.
Fede Valverde, the Uruguayan, on the right of the Real Madrid attack. You know, Nick, that sometimes players are in a rich vein of form and they're doing well. Is Valverde in a rich vein of form carrying over from last season, or is he just a really, really good young player?
I would have to go with the second option. I think he's just a fantastic young player who's been given that responsibility by the coach, and he's really playing with confidence and really believing in himself. He brings a different kind of dynamic to the team. He's so athletic with his dynamism and his late runs, and he's fantastic to watch. And he's a player that gets the fans off their seats, and that's what they want to see at the Bernabeu.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Shakhtar, because we know the circumstances that attended to Shakhtar Donetsk now, and playing at home, and how that's not quite possible given the conflict in the Ukraine. But they did show enough today to suggest that outside of the Bernabeu, they could cause problems for this Real Madrid team. And remember, they'll play them next week, the quick turnaround in the fixtures.
Yeah, most definitely. I think if you look at the group, you would say Real Madrid are a class above, and obviously they've already separated themselves from the rest of the group. But they have top players there like Modric, who is a fantastic. He's been spoke about throughout Europe as one of the hottest prospects. So with players like him, he was quite quiet this evening, but he still shows flashes and glimpses of brilliance, and he obviously had a hand in their goal this evening.
Yeah, Modric and Kvaratskhelia, the Neapolitan Maradona, two young wingers who are on the radar of several of Europe's biggest clubs. And it's good to see two players from two teams who normally don't say a lot or do a lot in European competition getting such attention. Stay where you are, Nick. We aren't done with our review of the day's action in the UEFA Champions League. Much more on the other side of this break.